Brandon Sanderson's Cytonic. This is the third book in the Skyward trilogy. 44 chapters, 409 pages, and this is really losing memories in the nowhere, the space between spaces. So this is supposed to be the anti matter of our universe. In order to hyperjump in this setting, they have to go into the nowhere and then to where they want to go. So kind of space between spaces. And this is young adult fiction, and it's the third book in a four-part series. I was like super excited. I thought it was a trilogy. I thought this was gonna wrap all up, and then at the end it's like, hey, don't miss the next book. And I was just like, I think it's called Defiant, but I hope that it wraps it up nicely. This one had some interesting additions and brought a lot to the story. There was some character development, a lot more than the previous books. There was less action than the previous books, but it was actually a different style almost in that it was kind of an adventure and a growing and learning experience. But there was also, instead of being a fighter pilot, as she was in the first one, she learned to be a fighter pilot. And then in the second book, the main character learned how to become a squad leader, when training in the maze against the Delvers. And then in this one, she kind of learned to be almost a general in that, she taught ever. Well, I, I don't want to give too much away, but she encounters pirates in the nowhere. And so the currency in the nowhere is these ashes. And if you're in the nowhere for too long, you start losing your memories, and these ashes help prevent that. And when you're huddled together, the more people you have in your group, the less quickly the memories fade. So groups are good in the nowhere, and also a memory icon produces the ashes. So lots of cool stuff, and it's a really neat concept. And the main thing about this place is this is where acclivity stone comes from. In addition to the space between spaces that they hyperjump, there's portals where they mine the acclivity stone that they use for their fighters in the regular standard universe. That's how they use their starships and flying. It allows them to go up and down, side to side, that kind of stuff. But I picture it like a ring of hovering stone. And so there's lots of little platforms. I think there's even like a diagram here with a map to kind of demonstrate that, there is like little platforms everywhere, and they're all made up of acclivity stones. So each platform is kind of hovering, and you can jump from place to place. So each one kind of had its own atmosphere and climate. Some had waterfalls, others were desert, some had snow. And I think it's supposed to represent like the regular universe leaking into the nowhere. So I don't know if maybe they do a hyper jump in one spot that then part of the universe leaks. I'm not sure all the details, but really liked that idea that there is a space within spaces. I think I've said that enough. I just can't say it enough because it's awesome. But yeah, that's the concept. And like I said, there's less action than the previous books, but it's the whole universe in exile. So the superiority, when they have people that they don't like, they just exile them to the nowhere here. They also have miners who mine the acclivity stone, and that's where the pirates came in, is because they were kind of, hey, go do this thing for 10 years, we'll bring you back. But some of the pirates are like, well, if they're gonna, not bring us back, we'll just, jump ship. And so there's a large group of pirates that jump ship together because the main Tashi person, she had her two sons. And so she thought after 10 years she could go back with her sons. The superiority said, hey, guess what? Your sons also have to serve 10 years. So it was like, hey, you kind of, went back on the deal. So I'm going back on the deal and starting my own pirate crew. So there's a group of pirates, and that's who Spensa first encounters on the edge. And she also learns, actually, she first encounters Chet's Starfighter. So this is a fun character, which I don't want to talk too much about, but he's there throughout the whole adventure, and they learn and figure out that there is the path of the ancients that have these cytonic memories. The people of the past who had the cytonic abilities were able to save pictures, almost like a video file, into this stone. And so going near it, it's almost kind of like a movie shows up, and you can learn about the past Cytonics, and Spensa learns more about her abilities at each step along the way, and then it goes to the center. In the center of the nowhere is where the Delvers live and exist, so it's, ever more dangerous as she gets closer to the center. Yeah, it has the recorded memories, and there's different obstacles, there's different pirate groups, and then there's the superiority, and then as she gets super close, there's the Delvers. So there's obstacles throughout this whole path. And you've got Mbot, who came in as a small little cleaning bot. But yeah, that was really cool there. And then yeah, it's there's some good stuff. They got the Acclivity Stone. There's some bad stuff. You lose the memories, and of course there's the Delvers, who are the quote unquote ultimate enemy. Yeah, right. They can just wipe anything out. Even if it takes them a while, they can just mow through anything. So in the regular universe, but this is their home turf, so kind of play by their rules. Things I really liked. I really liked Mbot, the pirates, Chet Starfighter, all the characters. Like, I really enjoyed seeing them, maybe not a culmination, but their growth for all of the characters, including the main character. It was just a really neat thing. I really liked that NBC, or a subsidiary of NBC, has the TV rights or the movie rights for this. That I think it would make a wonderful movie. Yeah, the Tashi, another set of aliens that we hadn't met yet, another race. I think there's one more maybe that we haven't met yet, so maybe that's what the next book is partially about. But yeah, I'd say 95% of this book was in the nowhere, so it was a big setting, and it kind of goes away from what you're expecting because you knew so much in the standard universe, and even when they went into the superiority, like, she could still like call home, for lack of a better word. But yeah, some things I didn't like. I thought this was the final book, so I was like looking for like a wrap everything up and a good, tie things in a nice neat bow, but it didn't happen, and that's okay. There's another book, but yeah, that's it was a little bit slower than some of the other books, but that's okay. Less action packed, but it was a different style, so I did like that. Two quick quotes. The first one is about potential. There we go. Okay, so this is a companion, actually one of the pirates. So, indeed, machine who thinks, all people must accept that we have the potential to do terrible things. It is part of seeing our place in the universe, our heritage, and our natures. But in that acceptance we gain strength, for potential can be refused. Any hero who can be a monster is more heroic for the choices he or she made to walk another road. Yeah, good, bad, gray, good and evil, gray, somewhere in between. All about the choices we make. Good stuff there. Let's see, this one is about handling emotions. So only a few days. Was much older than me, but could feel and only become aware 2 days before. Then suddenly you had to deal with all that pain, all that confusion. You weren't given time to cope. You didn't know how to be alone. So yeah, something that I've talked about in the past with my friends and family is that yeah, learning who you are and learning how to be alone is part of growing, I think, and becoming an adult. Obviously, you don't have to be alone all the time, but knowing who you are and how you handle situations alone is very important when you are in a relationship, because then you can know, like, okay, this is what someone else is expecting and this is what I'm looking for. So yeah, that part really stood out to me. But yeah, good adventure, good story, and I'm really looking forward to the final book. So remember to buy your books used or digital.